Hello and welcome to another one of these fancy little live streams where I paint some models. I have a whole bunch of stuff in front of me today and I have been having a whole heap of a day, so I'm very looking forward to doing some painting. I think what we might do is continue on with my American Fireflies. I did some of that last week. Separated the tan webbing from the rest of the uniforms in green, so I can do all of the brown stuff next. The rifle stocks, or Thompson submachine gun stocks, and boots, and also the way I do all of my Riftech stuff for the Americans and the British is to paint them a coppery brassy bronze, and that involves base coating in brown, so there's plenty of that to go on. But I also have some other Konflikt models. Of course, there's more Konflikt models over here. There's my Axis stuff that's been sitting on my desk for a very long time. We are so very close to finishing off the Schwertruppen, and I might actually finish those off because there's very little work left to do on them. I've still just got the one British automaton built, haven't built any more of those. Where did I put... I have no idea where they are, in fact. Absolutely no idea. They are somewhere, I assume. But I actually have a model that's not Konflikt. How could this be? How could this be that I have a non-Konflikt 47 model? It is bolt action though, so it's not that far out. This is the SDKFZ 222 with the autocannon on it. It's got a weird, really strange mechanism for turning the weapon, because the turret, like the outer ring of the turret, like the actual armor of the turret, I mean, is on a turret ring, like a lot of model kit turrets would be. Sorry, that track's just getting a bit much. And then the weapon is also on a separate rotation, so that's actually mounted on a peg in the middle, goes down to the bottom of the hull. But on the kind of mounting point for the weapon that you can kind of just about see in there, but not really, there's that little peg there that goes forward and that touches the front of the turret. So as you turn the turret, that just pushes the weapon around. It's weird. I'm not sure I entirely like it, but so long, if I don't glue it, then it's not going to be too much of an issue. I also I haven't got these primed yet, and I haven't actually finished building them. But these were... Let's get some focus. These are some heavy armoured infantry. There's just some slight variation in the armour between them, but I haven't got heads or arms on these, so I'm not sure 100% what these are going to end up being. But these legs are the ones I used for my assault frame, the proxy assault frames that I made, and I said I wanted to use the whole set, so here's the whole set. When I work out what I'm going to use the rest of them for, I'll let you know. I think I'm happy to get stuck into the Yanks, though. We've got loads and loads of them here. And if I remember rightly, I've got just a whole bunch of very simple brown to do. So we can get stuck into that. And, yeah, let's just get stuck into that. As you might expect, I have spent absolutely no time setting up the stream, so I will have to adjust cameras for a moment. Let's see. So we'll be painting that there. Let's grab focus. Ooh, that looks alright. That'll do nicely. Whoops. I just put some brown on the wet palette and it's bleeding out all into the paint water. Sorry, the palette water. Oops. Can deal with that in a moment once it's settled. Right. Let's get stuck in. Given that I just flooded this with water, that's quite surprisingly thick paint. I don't know if there's been any significant news in the last week. But if I've missed something, do let me know. So I do want to paint on the flamethrowers and the BARs. They've got a different head. They've got that flight cap. I did like the idea of painting the flight cap in brown, because that's kind of very 1940s styled. I'll probably do a bit of color separation on them, pick some bits out in black as well. Did we have... What else did I say? I said something else. Boots and... Oh, yeah, Tom, he doesn't have a stock on the flamethrower. Although... Heat-proof piping... Probably asbestos. Repaint the tank later. We'll do that in a metallic, I think. Yeah. Very much too much water on the brush at the moment. Oh. Yeah, that flooding of the wet palette is going to be haunting me for a while, I think. I think what I should probably do is just add some more brown to the wet palette and just use that instead. That's probably the sensible idea. And then, yeah, test the coils. Ah! I forgot to do the repulsor pack on the first guy. So, repulsor pack. Just base coating the whatever the individual pieces are called. You know, while I'm here, I may as well do the linebacker as well, because that's got absolutely loads of them. Have you seen the linebackers repulsor stuff? Like, look at all them. It's got loads of them. Keep the linebacker until then. Oliver, yo, how's the army painting? It is painting. I am painting. I'm painting it. It's going well. I've got all of these fireflies to do. And I'm painting the most interesting colour of all. Brown. I should probably do that with a better brush, but it's probably fine. So I've always had this annoying habit ever since I first started recording my painting, is that to look at the model I look down, and to see what the camera is seeing I have to look up, or at the screen on the camera, depending on what camera I'm using. But what I will inevitably do, and I've been doing this for years and I know I still do it even to this day, is I'll look at the screen, put the model right there, right, that's where I need it to be. Good, right, and then I'll look down to start painting and immediately move it out of center, out of the focal range. Yay. Oliver, currently washing some spaceships, ready to paint. Nice. Were these the Void Admiral? Was it Void Admiral? It's been a long time since I've done spaceships. Other than I've done some tiny Star Wars spaceships, but other than that, it's all Battlefleet Gothic, I think. Yeah, Void Admiral, Brigade miniatures, Eurofedcom. I have to say I don't actually know very much about Void Admiral or how it plays. See, there's kind of a few different types of spaceship game. And some of them, like Battlefield Gothic, are just naval games, but you play them with spaceship models. Whereas others are very, very like super maths levels of calculating where a ship will end up in like the physics of space travel. The Star Destroyers we have at home. Lol. Oh, special one here. Let's get some more brown on the wet palette. Need to decide how I'm doing the basing for this guy and his counterpart, because the two of them, they have their own sculpted bases, so they're slightly different from the American and Axis units that I usually make. The bases are different, I mean. So most of my Americans are on cobblestone, and a lot of them have cobblestone and then some dirt, whereas my Axis are all on this rough kind of forest ground cover. But these two in the diorama, this is the American one, that's not really cobblestone, not really. It's got some lumpy bits that I could pretend is cobblestone, but is that the same thing? Oh, I like this guy already. He's got his sleeves rolled up. That's fun. I hadn't noticed that before. But yeah, he's got this short sleeve. Nice. See, speaking of spaceships, this has just reminded me of something kind of related. And it's something I've kind of wanted to do a video on for a long time. And that's the ILM method of, or one of the ILM methods of making spaceships. Like the actual model spaceships they use in a lot of different films. And The various methods have been widely documented and I know them, but I've never tried it. And I largely have all of the supplies that I could possibly need, like lots of scrap kits and bits, bits of card and bits of plastic that could be used. And obviously I wouldn't be copying a specific ship design, it would just be whatever I kind of went with, whatever I felt like as I was building it. I will eventually get around to that. Someday. Not having a lot of luck with this brush. That's another one done. How fast are we making progress? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, we've done a whole squad. One squad of 3 squad. I've got 3 squads of 6, and then the officers and Dr. Wells. The Doctor's Wells. This guy has different. I think they might be gaiters, but they're very different from what anyone else is wearing. And also hobnail boots. Even though a lot of the Firefly special characters are what's the term? They're all derived from the same base sculpt as the other Fireflies, but they have these loads of little details, like he's wearing a sheepskin jacket, he's got these different gaiters on, the other ones have like a shotgun slung over their shoulder. Just makes them a bit more interesting. Oops, that'll do. So I want to paint his sheepskin jacket in a different brown. Because I do want to emphasize that, because it is a cool part of the model. Making it a little bit lighter as well. Do I want to make it a bit more yellow? Maybe I do. If I use tan instead of proper yellow. Yeah, I think that's about where I want it. A very unpleasant, sickly colour at the moment. But once that's layered up with everything else, I think that will do the job quite nicely. Maybe not quite as much, because that's ending up looking just like the webbing. Let's try that. Yeah, it's better. There we go. And I need to switch to a nicer brush. Or at least just a smaller brush. We'll try this. This may be the wrong brush because it has seen better days. I think that's kind of all that needs. But that's gonna come out nicely, I think. If I had a whatever the money in Avatar was for every time I painted a sheepskin jacket, I would have 2 of them. Which isn't much, but it's weird that it's happened twice. A while back I did a hobbit piloting a blimp. And that model was wearing a very similar kind of flight jacket, probably referencing the same kind of early aviators style of clothing. Because it gets very cold when you're flying around at high speeds at some amount of altitude. That's quite messy, but it'll do. Just want to get through a kind of the base coats relatively quickly so that I can move on to the wash, and then after the wash, then comes the real work, as it always does. I have not yet used the fireflies, and I've only fought against them once. I have heard good things, however. Hey, Oliver says, what are you going to use as a wash? I will use my homemade washes. As I always do. It is so much... There are so many advantages to making your own wash. Compared to buying a pre-made product, and as far as I can tell, the only advantage of buying a pre-made product is that it is consistent and always the same, which I don't want. I like natural variation. It's definitely a part of my art style. But I mix ink with matte medium in roughly equal parts, a very small amount of surfactant in the form of washing up liquid. I've been looking for a better surfactant because it's not ideal to use a soap in particularly an acrylic wash. And that's my standard mix. So I've got them here. Got one with, wow, that's settled. One's black and one is brown or umber. Yeah. When I use it, I'll mix that properly. But that's black and brown, and I almost always mix the two as well. The black by itself is very good on like metal stuff, particularly if it's going to be bare steel. And then the brown by itself can be good on skin, but on almost everything else, a mix is better. Just letting down kind of the black with a little bit of brown, but also giving the brown a bit more depth than just because the brown by itself is very soft. So mixing them adds the starkness of the black and the warmth of the brown, and that works relatively well. I keep knocking the camera. I apologise. This is right where I need to put my hands to change model on the blue tack. Oh, here's the other officer. Strangely, last time we did this, I went through all the fireflies and got to the offices right at the end, whereas this time, what are we? Not even halfway through, and I've got all 3 of them now. The real question, however, is what am I going to do about the bases? Because I do have some reason to keep them consistent with my other Americans. I don't need it perfectly consistent, but at least thematically similar. The cobblestones I know how to do. They're just going to get a black wash and then grey highlight. But the like the mud here and then the bits of masonry, I want to do something other than just grey for the masonry. And on ones like this, where they're standing on a bit of a wall, I want to paint the wall in some way as well. And I haven't necessarily decided how. Like, should I paint a 1940s style wallpaper on the inside? Because if that's the cobblestone, that's the outside, and that'll be the inside then. So I can put whitewash on the outside and wallpaper on the inside. What do you think? Is that a fun idea? And there we go, knocking the camera again. What I might do is just move the camera up a little bit. Give myself a bit more space. Well, hopefully that's better. We shall see. Excuse me. This reminds me of a technique that I was using when I was painting the Tanith First and Only. And I'd get a bunch of them together and paint the cloak, for example. And I had on the wet palette 2 greens. I had a dark green that would be the shadow colour and a light green that would be the highlight colour. And the mid-tone would just be a mix between the 2. But as I was painting a squad of those, I wasn't like mixing up a mid-tone and then painting with that same mid-tone on all of them. I was like, every time I reached for the brush, every time I reached for paint, I would mix up a bit more. And so every single time I went for more paint, I would end up with a subtly different mix. And I could tailor it, and I could say I want it a bit darker, a bit lighter. And we're only talking about two colours, a light and a dark. And over the course of a squad, it is like following that process, almost impossible to get a perfectly consistent colour. And so you end up with a lot of natural variation all throughout the squad. And I was really enjoying how that was just making a squad look much more vibrant and interesting than they would have looked if they'd have been all exactly the same. Come on, brush. You can do it. You can maintain some semblance of a point. That. Just a flake of dust in the paint. Hey, Paulus the Mad, how you doing? Oi. Popping in to check in after finishing an evening of building epic scale tonks and going cross-eyed for it. You gotta love some 6mm every now and again. Someone bought me a while back, after I made fun of Napoleonics, someone got me a whole bunch of 6mm Napoleonics. So I've got a bunch of cavalry and a bunch of line infantry. And then I've also got the... is it black powder in 6mm from Warlord Games? Napoleonic epic scale. And tiny stuff is cool. I tell you what though, there is a tiny scale game that I have been looking at, and every time I look at it and I'm like, I want it. I want tiny things. I want tiny things. It's Mantic Games Dead Zone and Firefight, but like shrunk down. I can't remember what the name of it is. But just go and have a look at the Forge Fathers, the Space Dwarves, for that game. And oh, they're so cool and they're so small. Due to shenanigans, got my resin printer back, so I'm now bracing myself and printing 6mm dudes. Built some orcs too. Gonna print some more. Nice. Yeah, the temptation to just... My printers have been going non-stop recently, so I'm giving them a bit of a cool down time at the moment. Saying that, I do actually have them both running at the moment. Let me know if you can hear them. Probably not. I've got the doors closed, so probably not. But The thing with 6mm, if you're 3D printing it, well, it doesn't take long. It's 2 good squads done. Every time. I don't know why that track has just like 50% of the runtime as absolute silence. It might be from when I downloaded it, or it might just be some weirdness in the file. Anyway. Yeah, Paula says the Mantic Lies guys look great. They do. I think I can't remember what it's called now, but one of the Forge Fathers vehicles is this like triangular armored car. It kind of looks like, is it Sergeant Bash from Robot Wars? It reminds me of one of the Robot Wars, and I think it might be Sergeant Bash. And they've got those in that 6mm game as well, so yeah, that would be cool. To get a bunch of little tanks rolling around. So what are we at now? What we're at is that I'm running out of space to put my painting handle, so I'm gonna have to reassess how I do this. Right, that's 6. So that's 1 full squad. That's 6. That's 2 full squad, and that's 3 and 4. So on the way to number 3. See, I'm noticing that the standard Firefly models, they've just got their trousers bloused, but then the officer has gaiters. I do not know why I fixate on puttees and gaiters and blousing trousers. But I guess I just hate the end of your trouser legs. Do something with it. Tuck it in. Have it tied up in some way. I don't know. Has that just gone on really thick? Doesn't matter too much if it's only boots. So that's 5, this makes 6, and then it should be 4 more, and that's it. Ah, the other flamethrower guy. Ah, yes, I wanted to do the flight caps, didn't I? And then repulsor back. Nearly there. Nearly there. Be just over an hour once we're done with them. And then we can decide what we want to do afterwards. Probably finishing off those Schwertruppen, because that feels like something I can just finish off in this stream, which would be nice. What's brown on the BAR? Stock and the foregrip. I think that's it. Yeah. So there should be another BAR gunner. Oh, I forgot the repulsor pack again. I'm gonna have to check and see if I've got. Let's see if I've missed any of the other repulsor packs. But I do know that I've missed this guy's cheek. There we go. And just not paying attention and getting messy there. Let's put you aside and come back. Nearly there. Nearly there. This is the one that I had fun converting, because I got a little bit annoyed that the Firefly kit, all of the Thompsons and the BAR and the flamethrower, so basically all of the main weapons that any character would be, any model in the squad would be holding, are all two-handed, as in they've all got both hands glued onto them. And yet there are single hand options like grenades and knives and other things. And how are you supposed to use them? How are you supposed to use them if all of the main weapons are permanently molded with two hands on them? But on this one, I took this Thompson and cut the hand away with the entire stock away, and I took a stock from a different Thompson from a bolt action kit and glued on that. So he's now holding, just with his left hand, he's holding that up in that way, but his right hand is now free to be chucking a grenade. nearly forgot the repulsor pack. Let's see if this guy's dry. Yeah, he looks it. So now it should just be, yep, the Roberta's Wells. So this is the new one, Firefly Roberta. I'm not sure why, but when I painted this Roberta, the green just didn't come out very well. Like, you can just about see the green on the repulsor pack, and it's basically the same as this. But if you look at her trousers, which are also painted green, it's not the same. And I do not know why. I gave a little bit of brown spray over the weapon in her head, but that was all. And I didn't do the same on the trousers. So they should be green, but they're not. I think I'll just have her wearing, yeah, like black office trousers, I guess. Given she's a scientist. She's not in the same uniform. She's kind of partially in the same uniform as the Fireflies. But she often has a white lab coat. Not sure if it's a lab coat or just a shirt, but yeah. Trying to think what parts of this model are actually going to be brown. I don't think there's going to be much. Probably. I do generally paint whites. If I'm going to paint white, I'll either paint it blue or brown underneath. So this is definitely a case for brown. Yeah, all the rest of that's going to have to happen later, I think. Alright then, fireflies. Let's quickly check over the repulsor packs, because I'm pretty sure I've missed some of them. Nope, we've got all these. Well, it was worth checking, but I think, yeah, I got every single one. Good. And, right then, let's chuck them back in the box and have a look at the Schwertruppen. I just want to make sure I did get the boots as well on all of them. Where's the officers? Well, the officers have been mixed up with them, so oh well. Oh, that's one of them at least. Alright. Schwertruppen. And my nice little Konflikt 47 dog tags. Ah, there he is. Hiding in the back. So, given that, these ones are the finished ones from that I did a while back, and these ones are the new ones. What are they actually missing? I don't know. That's interesting. They look the same, but this one definitely doesn't look done. I guess this one has just more variety, because he's got the pouches on the back, whereas this one doesn't. And he's got this one's wearing a mask and this one isn't. There's just been more opportunity for different colours on this one. Also, the pouches are darker. What I can do is just quickly highlight all of the pouches, just ever so slightly. And other than that, might be just that. If only my paint hadn't clogged in the 2 minutes since I last used it. Really? Really? I don't have a pin to hand. That'll do it. So, this guy. I'm not sure how much better that is, or even if it is better at all. What I should be doing on the rifle stock is actually painting some tan. That helps. No idea what on this model I can paint in the same way. So I guess there's the pouches. See, other than the cable, there's nothing on this model that I can really do in another colour, which is just an annoying shame. Because I've already done the cable in silver. I was kind of thinking I should do it in a different colour, but I ended up doing silver. I can always repaint it. I think that actually does the job. To be fair, I'm surprised, but that has actually helped quite a bit. So if I stand them all together, can you tell visually which ones are the old ones and the new ones? Yeah, the new ones are just a bit darker, and the bases are slightly browner rather than green. But other than that, yeah, I think they fit now. A little bit of variation is good. Some people have accused my liking of inconsistency as being laziness, and I disagree. I like the variety because it is varied. But I like to be quite, like in some cases, quite flexible how it comes down and just letting stuff happen. But then other times I do like to be quite deliberate and choose where the variety is and how the variety forms. And you can always adjust. Like if the overall tone is just a little too dark, brighten it a bit. Or too bright, darken it a bit. Same with saturation, texture, and other things. What is that? That's just a lump. Right, make sure I put these down in order. because then they'll be dry in order as well. Is that first one dry? It is. Alright, that is that. 7 Schwertruppen done. Well, 4 already done, 3 new ones. So I actually have the 2nd edition Schwertruppen officer model there, that guy, and this one here is a ED-SKaR one. I think this was, they made it like when they first started doing ED-SKaR, they made this one as a showcase model, and then these 3 are from the artillery weapon. So I don't have the actual weapon itself, but I have these. Does mean that I can potentially have an armoured observer. Don't think there's much value in that, but I have the option. Alright. Good. We have a squad complete. So, the next question is, do I go back to the Fireflies, or do I maybe do something with the Nachtdalben? The Night Terrors. Or the Automaton. Look how... the automatons are so big, so tall. People keep moaning that the Fireflies are too big as well, but like, account for the difference in the size of the base, because that should be slightly taller. They're basically the same height. They may be a bit bulkier, kind of a bit more hero scale, but not by much. One thing I could do is this. Because I have this to paint. Is it dusty? I've not had this here for long enough for it to become dusty. Although I was doing some dremeling last week, so maybe this is resin dust actually. And that white spot there, that's annoying because that's a chip in the paint all the way down to the resin. So let's deal with that. And then with just some normal grey, need that there. Yuli, hey, how you doing? Making the motherland proud with that kit bash. This wasn't a kit bash. This was just a conversion, just of the reposing the legs. Well, unless you count the basing. This guy has seen better days. He's going to go just there. I think I like the idea of just cleaning up the decal a little bit. And I'm going to try and just stubbornly go at it with water and see if I can just scrape the paint off of the top of the wash. Sorry, off the top of the decal. Because the thing about decals is they're often somewhat shiny and don't actually hold paint that well. This doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. This paint has been on for a while, so it's not in its favour. Yuli says, "What's up, man?" Yeah, I am having a day. Various annoyances. But I will survive, I assume. I do have a cotton bud here. I don't think this is going to make any difference at all. Oh. Oh. I'm not sure if this is actually the water or if this is actually just physically the abrasion of the cotton bud here. Yuli says, paint over mine to blend them in. I have done exactly that already, and now I'm undoing that. Because I want this one to just be a bit more prominent, because it was too much under the wash. It was too much. That's coming out. We're both having a day. Hope yours gets better soon, and you as well. Cannot wait to go home and work on my models. Yeah. Oh dear. There, because if I leave it about there, it's still got all the wash around the edge, but clean in the middle just makes it look. Can you camera please? There you go, that's better. It kind of looks like one of the crew's gone out and given it a bit of a clean. It kind of looks good in scale. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that because that's enough. It's still got the dirt around the edge, but yeah, it's just cleaner in the middle. That's what I wanted. So how long have we got? We've got 15 minutes. That's a decent chunk of time to do something. I think I'll carry on with the Cossack. Although, in what way? Well, I do have the weapons to do, and I've got the grey here, so I may as well just carry on there. This poor brush. I'm pretty sure that's dried paint that I've accidentally left in there from a previous painting session. I was about to complain that it's not holding a point, but it's never going to hold a point with paint clogged up in it. Oh, that's not behaving at all. That looks absolutely rubbish. To go back on all of what I've just done then. I don't know what this black is that I've just grabbed off of my wet palette, but it seems to be helping. Well, that's an improvement, but where's my focus? There. Yeah. Yuck. That's not terrible. Kazakh is one of those units that should work really well on paper, but never quite does enough for me. Maybe add a flamethrower would be a way to play it. I keep bringing it to games. My perspective on the Cossack/Kazakh is that you either run it as an assault machine and charge forwards and use its legs, but it doesn't have arms, so it's not that good as an assault machine. Or you use it as a tank hunter, because it's got a medium anti-tank gun. Is that right? It's either an autocannon or a medium anti-tank gun. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But finding a place for it to sit and get that 3+ hit with a medium anti-tank gun is kind of that's how I'm thinking about it. Although I shouldn't really speak from a tactical perspective, as I have only ever used the Soviets in first edition. Light? Oh, it's a light anti-tank gun. Yeah, okay. In which case, I think the autocannon's the nicer option. And I'd use it to hunt heavy infantry. Or at least harass them. But I'd be doing that from range. Get the Cossack into cover. Is it the one that came with the starter set that didn't really get released, but only with the 3D printed parts? What was that mech? Because that's not the Kazakh, is it? That's a different. Because I think that one might have the medium anti-tank gun, and I might be getting confused between them. What were they like in first edition? Really good now. I didn't have a Cossack, so I can't say about this specific vehicle, but the Soviets were pretty good in first edition because they had a lot of options in comparison to the other nations. So remember that in first edition, you're much more expected to bring a bolt action army with some conflict stuff, whereas in second edition, it's more that you're bringing a conflict army with maybe the odd squad that's taken out of bolt action, but really that's it. You're not taking nearly as much like historically appropriate units in first edition. So the Daughters of the Motherland against bolt action infantry were epic. They didn't have fieldcraft, but they had fast all the time because there was no rift ice, so there's no surging, so you just had fast all the time, charging around with assault rifles. You were always in range because you'd always get within that, because fast would get you within the range. And you even had the old style Panzerfaust, so 5 points each per shot. So you'd spend 10 points for 2 of them. And they would just chew up infantry, and if they got close to a tank, they'd have a go, kind of thing. Think of the Molot. Yes. So the Molot has a medium, but it's slow, so no flanking, doesn't need it. Arguably, it's cost effective. 238 points for 6 heavy machine gun, armor 10 in the front, and a medium anti-tank gun. Yeah. Okay, so that's the mech I was actually thinking of. Much heavier. Slow in the armor means you're just going to sit it in a nice bit of cover and use that medium anti-tank gun. And the heavy machine gun as well. Two heavy machine guns. So that's what I was thinking. This, on the other hand, is the cheaper, lighter one. And I would probably run it with an autocannon. And when using the autocannon, you're hunting heavy infantry, not vehicles. Whereas the Molot is probably going to have a try at some vehicle kills with just staying still and getting that 3+ hit. Typing from my phone with one finger, so I'm 3 minutes behind the stream. That's normal. There's always a delay on stream. I have my stream set to a fairly slow rate anyway, so there's also that. Trying to get some wet blending in on these, on the kind of canopy. I don't want to just obliterate all of the texture from the wash, because that actually looks pretty good. Speaking of stream, we are actually coming up to the end of the stream. So if anyone has any questions, please post them in the comment section, in the chat box, and I will answer them before I end the stream. And I will say next week on Monday I will have another stream. And the video for this week, I'm already well on the way working through it, is going to be the build log for the Sturmriser. I did mention that the Sturmriser is such a bloody big model that it's going to be split over multiple videos. I've already had a live stream discussing kind of the model from a shop front point of view and from the parts that are involved point of view and the 3D printing. And this is going to be the process of actually putting it together and building it. I am not a particular fan of some of my recordings that I made along the way, so I'm going to have to get creative with editing a script around that. But I'm pretty sure I'll manage. So that'll be for Saturday. And as much as I would like to, I don't think I'm going to be able to do an extra stream this week. It would be very convenient, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. If I get the chance, I will do an extra stream on maybe Wednesday or Thursday, but I do not expect that I will get the chance. How do you fit the plasma ball in? Good question. So the panels at the top, like the upper hull pieces, that kind of cone shape on the top, is made of multiple sections and it's hollow. And it essentially just plugs in. I don't have anything to hand. Let me... I think I can show you. If you just give me a moment, I will open up 3D modeling software or 3D printing software. And I can give you a quick show of that. Here we go. Where's my webcam? There we go. I still exist. So that is... Ugh. Yuck. So this is the middle hull. And if you see on the middle hull, you have these 6 slots. And then these 2 pieces, which come together to form that cone, are hollow. And they each have 3 tags on the underneath here. And so they go into the slots. So that will end up looking... kind of like that. There we go. And what you can do is glue one side in place and have the other side removable. So you would not glue this one in. But what you can do is actually, what I'm planning on doing is actually just not gluing them at all. Because once it's set up on a table and you've popped those into place, they pretty much just sit there. Like, unless someone like fiddles with it directly, they're not going to fall out. So the way to remove the plasma ball is just take off that panel. And whether the other side is glued or not doesn't really matter. You can, if it's not, you can take it off. Otherwise, it just stays there. And then that's just the inside is hollow. Right then, so over the course of the stream, I've painted a whole bunch of boots on the Fireflies. I've painted a little bit on the Schwertruppen to finish them off, so I've now got those done. And I've done a little bit of the metalwork, sort of. Not really happy with how that's coming out. It's, I think I might just have to paint everything else and come back to it. Come back to the metalwork, I mean. But thank you to everyone who has popped past. And... let's put that there. And that there. There we go. And everything's always out of focus. Who would win in this fight? Well, the Schwertruppen have Panzerfausts. And that's a light walker, though. I think the light walker's got the advantage. Depends. It depends. If they're at this range, the Schwertruppen have the advantage. If they start off at the usual distance, I think the Cossack does have the advantage there. Stay in autocannon range, far away. Cheers, you survived Monday. Congrats. I've still got half a day to go, but I'll get there. Well, I hope you have a lovely second half of your day, Yuli. Oh, speaking of something that we weren't actually speaking of, do you, Yuli, do you have a 3D printer, or do you have access to a 3D printer, or someone that you know has a 3D printer? And if the answer is yes to any of that, send me a message, because I've got something you might like. And given your painting, I have a vested interest in letting you see it. Yeah. Okay, so have I already said? I think I've already said. Next week's stream will be on Monday. I might have an extra stream this week, but probably not. And the video for this weekend will be the Sturmreiser build. So lots of epoxy, and strangely, not a lot of swearing. It was actually a very, very nice kit to build. In comparison to certain other companies' products of the same size, It was very, very easy. Anyway. Good, good, yes. We should sort that out some other time. For now, with my fireflies, progress is being done. There's a lot of them, so it's slow going. But the Shred Troop are not done. So thank you very much to everyone for popping past and watching. I will see you in whatever it is that I see you in next. But for now, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.